You know that feeling when someone you love deeply suddenly pulls away, and it seems like they're doing everything possible to create distance between you? When it's your twin flame, this experience cuts even deeper because the connection you share isn't ordinary, it's soul level. And when they run, it doesn't feel like a simple breakup or a need for space. It feels like they're actively pushing you away, sometimes in ways that hurt more than silence ever could. Today, we're going to talk about something that many of you are experiencing right now. Your twin flame runner isn't just pulling back because they need time or space. They're actually using fear as a weapon to create distance between you. Now, before you think I'm saying they're intentionally trying to hurt you, let me clarify. Most of the time, this isn't a conscious, calculated move. It's a defense mechanism, but understanding what's happening can help you navigate this painful phase with more clarity and strength. The twin flame journey is unlike any other spiritual connection you'll experience in this lifetime. When you meet your twin flame, it's like looking into a mirror that reflects not just who you are, but who you could become. That level of intimacy, that depth of recognition, it terrifies a lot of people. And when people are terrified, they don't always handle it gracefully. Sometimes they lash out, sometimes they withdraw, and sometimes they weaponize the very fears that are driving them away. So let's dive into how this happens, why it happens, and what you can do about it. They make you feel like you're too much. One of the first ways runners create distance is by making you feel like your love, your presence, your very existence is overwhelming. They'll say things like, "You're too intense," or "I need to breathe," or "This is moving too fast." And here's the thing, you start believing it. You start thinking maybe you are too much. Maybe you're being clingy. Maybe you're asking for more than you should. But let's get real here. The intensity isn't coming from you alone. This connection is intense by its very nature. What you're feeling, they're feeling too. The difference is you're willing to face it and they're not ready yet. So instead of owning their fear, they project it onto you. They make it seem like you're the problem when really they're running from themselves. When your twin flame tells you that you're too much, what they're actually saying is that the connection is too much for them to handle right now. They're looking at everything this relationship is asking them to confront, all the healing they'd need to do, all the ways they'd need to grow, and it's overwhelming them. But instead of saying, "I'm scared," they say you're too intense. Here's what you need to understand. You're not too much. You've never been too much. Your capacity to love deeply, to feel intensely, to show up authentically, these are gifts. Don't dim your light because someone else is wearing sunglasses. Instead, recognize this for what it is. It's their fear talking, not truth. Keep being yourself. Keep loving fully. But also give yourself permission to step back and stop trying to convince them that your love isn't something to fear. They need to come to that realization on their own. They suddenly highlight all your flaws. This one stings because it feels so personal. Your runner, who once saw you as amazing, suddenly starts pointing out everything that's wrong with you. Maybe they criticize your choices, your personality, your past, or the way you handle things. It's like they've made a list of everything they can find fault with, and they're using it to justify their distance. What's really happening here is they're building a case against the relationship. They're trying to convince themselves and you that this connection isn't as special as it actually is. Because if they can find enough things wrong with you, then maybe leaving won't feel so painful. Maybe they can logic their way out of what their soul is telling them is true. The truth is, they're scared of how perfect you are for them, flaws and all. They're scared of how well you know them, how deeply you see them, how much potential this relationship has. So they focus on imperfections to create a barrier. It's easier to run from someone you've convinced yourself isn't right for you than to run from someone you know in your soul is your perfect match. When this happens, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to fix yourself or prove them wrong. You might find yourself explaining, defending, or trying to show them you're better than they're making you out to be. Stop. Don't give them that power. Your worth isn't up for debate. Instead, understand that their criticism says more about their inner turmoil than it does about you. They're projecting their own self-judgment onto you. Hold on to your sense of self, know your value, and let them work through their stuff without making it your responsibility to prove anything. They act like the connection doesn't affect them. This might be the most frustrating tactic of all. Your runner acts completely unaffected. They seem fine, happy even, like the connection you share doesn't impact them at all. Meanwhile, you're over here feeling everything intensely, barely able to function some days, and they're acting like nothing special ever happened between you. Let me tell you something that might bring you some comfort. They're lying. Not to you, but to themselves. That wall of indifference they're showing you, it's taking massive amounts of energy to maintain. They feel everything you feel. The difference is they're burying it, denying it, running from it with everything they've got. Twin flames share an energetic connection that doesn't just disappear because someone decides to ignore it. They're feeling the pull just as strongly as you are. They're having the same sleepless nights, the same random thoughts of you, the same unexplainable emotions. They're just better at pretending they're not, or they've convinced themselves that if they ignore it long enough, it'll go away. This act of indifference is actually a massive red flag that they're deeply affected. People who genuinely don't care don't work this hard to appear unbothered. So when your twin flame seems cold and detached, remember it's a mask. Don't let their performance make you doubt what you know to be true about your connection. Trust your own experience. Trust what you feel, and give them the space to eventually drop the act when they're ready. In the meantime, focus on your own healing and growth instead of trying to crack their facade. They bring other people into the picture. Nothing creates distance quite like making you feel replaceable. Some runners will suddenly start dating other people, or they'll make sure you know about the attention they're getting from others. They might post photos with someone new, talk about dates they're going on, or just generally make it seem like they've moved on, and you should too. This is one of the most painful fear tactics because it strikes at your sense of uniqueness in their life. You're supposed to be their twin flame, their mirror soul. So how can they just replace you with someone else? The short answer is they can't, and they're not actually trying to. What they're doing is trying to prove to themselves that they can have a normal relationship with someone who doesn't trigger all this intense spiritual and emotional work. These other connections serve as distractions. They're easier, less challenging, less demanding of personal growth. Your runner is essentially hiding in relationships that feel safer because they don't require the same level of vulnerability and transformation. But here's what you need to know. None of these connections will satisfy them the way you do. They might provide temporary relief from the intensity, but they won't provide the depth and meaning your connection offers. When this happens, your job isn't to compete or to prove you're better than whoever else is in the picture. That's not the point. The point is to recognize this for what it is, another fear response. Let them explore these other connections if that's what they need to do. Trust that the truth of your bond will eventually become clear to them. And most importantly, don't put your life on hold waiting. If they're seeing other people, you're free to live your life too. You're not bound to someone who's running from you, even if they are your twin flame. They twist your words and actions. Have you ever felt like no matter what you say or do, your runner finds a way to misinterpret it? You reach out with love, and they accuse you of being controlling. You give them space, and they say you don't care. You express your feelings, and they call you dramatic. It's like you can't win no matter what you do. This is called gaslighting, and it's a fear tactic that creates confusion and makes you doubt yourself. When your runner twists everything you say and do, they're creating a narrative that justifies their running. They're rewriting reality to make themselves the victim or the one who's being reasonable, which makes it easier for them to maintain distance without feeling guilty about it. The thing is, they might actually believe their own twisted version of events. Fear has a way of distorting perception. When someone is terrified of intimacy and vulnerability, their mind will literally reframe situations to protect them from having to face what scares them. So your genuine expression of love gets reframed as pressure. Your healthy boundaries get seen as rejection. Your honesty gets labeled as attacking them. This is incredibly destabilizing because it makes you question your own reality. You start wondering if maybe you really are doing something wrong. Maybe you really are being too much or not enough or whatever they're accusing you of. Here's what you do. Start keeping a journal or record of your actual interactions, not to prove them wrong, but to keep yourself grounded in reality. When someone is constantly twisting your words, having a clear record helps you stay sane. Also, stop explaining yourself repeatedly. If they're determined to misunderstand you, no amount of clarification will help until they're ready to see clearly. Protect your peace by stepping back from these circular conversations that go nowhere. They create drama and chaos. Some runners create distance by stirring up conflict. They pick fights over small things. They create problems where none exist. They keep things unstable and chaotic, so there's never a moment of peace where real connection could happen. The relationship becomes a series of ups and downs, arguments and makeups, with no solid ground to stand on. This chaos serves a purpose for them. It keeps you off balance, and it keeps the relationship from deepening. When you're constantly dealing with drama, you're not able to build real intimacy. You're stuck in survival mode, reacting to whatever crisis they've created, instead of growing together. The chaos becomes a barrier that prevents the kind of vulnerability and closeness that terrifies them. What makes this particularly hard is that the chaos often comes with moments of intense connection too. They'll push you away, then pull you back in. They'll create a fight, then make up in a way that feels like proof of your bond. This cycle becomes addictive because the highs feel so high after the lows have been so low. But it's not healthy, and it's not how a twin flame connection is meant to function. You need to recognize when drama is being manufactured. Not every problem in a relationship is meaningful or worth engaging with. Some conflicts are just smokescreens. When you notice a pattern of chaos, step back. Refuse to participate in manufactured drama. Set boundaries around what you will and won't engage with. Your twin flame connection doesn't need chaos to be real. If anything, the chaos is preventing the real connection from flourishing. Create stability in your own life, even if they won't, and don't let their need for drama pull you off your center. They go silent and disappear. Finally, one of the most common and painful fear tactics is simply vanishing. They go completely silent. No calls, no texts, no explanations. They just disappear from your life like you never mattered. This silence creates an enormous space between you, and it leaves you hanging with no closure, no answers, no sense of what went wrong. The disappearing act is often a last resort when all other tactics haven't created enough distance. When making you feel like you're too much didn't work, when criticizing you didn't work, when bringing others into the picture didn't work, they just remove themselves completely. It's the ultimate form of running because it cuts off all communication and leaves you completely in the dark. But here's what's happening behind that silence. They're overwhelmed. They've hit their absolute limit of what they can handle emotionally and spiritually. The connection has become so intense, their fears so loud, that they need complete withdrawal to even begin processing what they're feeling. The silence isn't really about you. It's about them needing to retreat completely to feel safe. I know this silence is agonizing. You want answers. You want to understand. You want to fix whatever went wrong. But you can't force someone to communicate who isn't ready. What you can do is resist the urge to chase them through that silence. Don't send message after message trying to get a response. Don't show up uninvited trying to force a conversation. Respect the space they've created, even if you don't agree with how they created it. Use this time for yourself. This silence, as painful as it is, gives you space to grow and heal too. Work on yourself. Rediscover who you are outside of this connection, and trust that when they're ready, if they're meant to, they'll break the silence. Until then, your job is to live your life, not to wait by the phone. Moving forward with strength. Understanding these fear tactics doesn't make them hurt less, but it does give you power. When you can see what's really happening, when you can recognize fear-based behavior for what it is, you stop taking it so personally. You stop letting their running define your worth. You stop giving away your power to someone who isn't ready to receive it. Your twin flame journey is yours. Yes, it involves another person, but ultimately, it's about your own spiritual growth and evolution. Whether your runner comes back tomorrow or in 5 years or never in this lifetime, you still have a journey to walk. You still have healing to do, lessons to learn, and a life to live. Don't let someone else's fear keep you stuck. Don't let their tactics control your emotional state or your sense of self. You're stronger than that, and you deserve better than that. Keep loving yourself, keep growing, keep trusting your path, and know that whatever happens with your twin flame, you're going to be okay. Actually, you're going to be more than okay. You're going to emerge from this stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your true self than ever before.